All right. Hi, everybody. David Fogel back with you, CEO of the Symphonina Foundation, back with another Symphonina Foundation podcast. And I'm joined today by three-time Grammy-nominated classical guitarist Mak Grgic. Mak, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm doing just fine here, chiming in from Arlington, Virginia.
Arlington, why are you in Arlington, Virginia today?
I am at my place in Arlington,
Oh,
Virginia.
it's your place. Okay. All right. Well, you every time I'm following you, wherever you're going, you're traveling someplace else. I didn't really know where home was. So that's great.
Yeah, there's been a decent number of travels as of
Yes.
late.
Yes. You do a lot of touring. And actually, let's start with that. You're going to be doing a master class in San Francisco at the San Francisco Conservatory in 2 days on the 14th. Today's the 12th as we're recording this. So let's start there. Tell me a little bit about what you're going to do there, who's going to be there, and what you hope to help them achieve.
Yes, a masterclass is always an opportunity to see young talent, those who are bound to replace us as better versions of musicians coming up, younger, stronger generations. So I'll be listening to the students and providing as much guidance as I possibly can. That's going to be on Sunday. After that, I'll spend a few days in San Francisco having meetings for strategic partnerships for my startup that's in the technology sector. The startup is called Noti, which is a Gen AI app that turns music practice into video games. Tuesday is then when I'll also perform in San Francisco at a noontime concert series. And then I'll travel to Los Angeles and San Diego for some conference work, Mexico next week or the week afterwards for chamber music residency at Rancho La Puerta. And then I'll come back up to Los Angeles, where I think I'll see you, David, possibly at an event on, what is it, the 28th of
27th,
September.
I think you'll be there, but we'll
27th or
see.
28th? Yeah,
Yeah,
the
one of
First
those.
Congregational Church in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and then of course when you're in San Diego, if you have free time, that's where I am. So it'd be great to treat you to lunch sometime. That'd be great. So that's wonderful. When I mean, it's not the surprise that you get invited to give a master class, but when you're there, how many students are in that environment for you to listen to, and how much time does each one get to spend with you?
Oh, in this case, it's going to be a short stint, 4 students, 30 minutes each. But master classes can vary. I mean, they can be a full day in length or a few days or, just a single master class. I remember when I was a student at USC in Los Angeles, I went for a master class with Christopher Parkening at Pepperdine University.
Mhm.
And that was just I was the sole student for the
Oh
day,
goodness.
and it was and so it was like a masterclass event, but
Yeah.
but it was the one single student type event. So it can
Yeah.
vary. I mean, it's really dependent on the school environment, the
Wow, you just
teacher.
brought me back to a time I've done a lot of short courses in engineering and AI in my day.
Uh-huh.
And one time I was giving an introductory course to evolutionary algorithms. I believe it was in Orlando, might have been somewhere else, but normally you get 15 people or something in the
Mhm.
this one was one person for 4 hours. So we covered everything and we covered everything that that person wanted to know. All their questions got answered. It was really great, actually. A lot of people I think would have walked into that session going, oh darn it, one person, what's this? I'm wasting my time. But I had exactly the opposite feeling, like this is
Mhm.
okay, let's do it. I hope this is a good student. And he was.
Mhm.
And we really got a lot out of it. So you probably did too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a wonderful experience. But again, I mean, it's these things can so vary. And for
Mhm.
you, evidently, it was actually a very meaningful experience because it
Yeah.
was intense and the student was attentive, and that's
Yeah.
great when that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have a new album out, Slavic Sessions,
Yes.
and it's submitted for Grammy consideration. Tell us about the album.
The album itself is a celebration of Slavic heritage. Both parties, namely Mateusz Kowalski, Polish guitarist, and myself, are of Slavic background. I come from Slovenia, kind of Croatia, Bosnia. That's my region. That's where my family's from. Mateusz is Polish, so he is a little bit of that northern
Hmm.
Slavic
Yeah, yeah.
demographic, and for me, more southern Slavic demographic. And so there are similarities in musical heritage, and we wanted to kind of cover that. But we went a little way back into the time of Chopin and Dvorak,
Hmm.
romantic composers. Not very often times played on guitar. And so this is kind of like this gave us a chance to explore that. And then we also included a sort of a set of pieces, Polish folk songs, arranged, redone for the guitar duet by Marek Pasieczny, who's sort of this one of the more popular guitar composers from Poland, and then Miroslav Tadic, who I've included on my albums quite a few times before. And he's a kind of a Yugoslav composer guitarist who actually lives in Los Angeles, but has been, championing this type of music for a while. That being said, the album idea actually goes back quite a few years before the pandemic, when I started a platform for uniting European guitar festivals under the auspices of one umbrella that was subsidized by the Creative Europe Fund. And we circulated young talent in an educational and professional capacity. And Mateusz was one of those young, talented guitarists. And his playing style very much appealed to me, like resonated the way he treated, performing and playing and thinking about music. And so then years after, right, I kind of have proposed this idea to him. I said, I think we would match well, just kind of a hunch. Shall we try, right? And then we came together, we practiced a bit, and then went on to record. And it ended up being a wonderful effort.
Yeah, well, that all sounds great and nice to maximize the connections that you make along the way like that. Are there a lot of guitar festivals in Europe that they needed to be organized in some way?
Yes and no. I mean, there's a great, heaps and loads of guitar culture, classical guitar culture,
for sure, yeah.
Or guitar culture in Europe.
Yep.
The thing is that each festival, does their own thing. And so the idea here was like to maximize the output by combining efforts and creating like a kind of a platform setup or network setup where the young players would benefit a lot from having that network back them. Whether that's needed, who knows? I mean, definitely people enjoyed it while it lasted. And so I can say that it was a good attempt.
Yeah. Well, speaking of young players, I did want to ask you, how'd you get started with classical guitar?
It was just a extracurricular kind of chore or opportunity, because I was not per se into music as a kid. I was more sports. Sciences and such. And then in Europe, the way it is that we have music schools that offer individual lessons, and then they offer solfege. A parent can just enroll their kid into a school, and it's mostly covered by the government.
All right.
So, it doesn't really cost much, or, I mean, better yet, it's paid through taxes.
Right.
Like any other public schools, so to speak. And so that's what ended up happening. And I enjoyed the craft of practice. I enjoyed the idea of getting better at an instrument. That's what I enjoyed. Not music so much at the very beginning. It took a little while for it to grow on me. And then in time, I would listen to brilliant recordings and it would start to resonate a lot. So that's kind of like how it all unfolded. And then I ended up studying it, and, the rest is history.
Yeah. Did you focus entirely on classical guitar your entire time, or did you branch out to other, like, let's say, rock and roll guitar or heavy metal guitar or anything else?
That wasn't until later, because the way it works in Europe is the schooling is classical. Very rarely do you get schooling that is any other type. Maybe jazz sometimes, but it is a choice of a particular kid to explore that. It's not something that's per se offered as as a first entry plan.
Yeah.
So no, classical is what I learned, and it wasn't until Los Angeles where I ended up being exposed to all these different styles, because LA is and will forever be a melting pot, right? And so that spoke to me. I was very heavily embedded in the sort of the academic classical approach, thinking about things, thinking about who I am in the musical type sense. LA really opened up the eyes for me, as in like what all is possible with through this instrument, through community work, etc.
Yeah. What experience have you had playing classical guitar with an orchestra?
Actually, heaps and loads. For someone at my age, a good amount. I want to say that, I've played the traditional workhorses, the Rodrigo concertos, all of them, especially Aranjuez, like, a multitude of times, maybe 100 or something, I don't know. I played some other concerti that are maybe less played as well. But most recently, I've been on a on a stint of commissioning new concerti. It started with Michael Abels and his Borders concerto that talks about the refugee crisis around the world. That's what started it all. And then I commissioned a Slovenian friend of mine to write kind of a jazz funk influence with a splash dash of rock kind of concerto called The Beats. I recorded those in May alongside with Aranjuez by Rodrigo. And now I'm commissioning new ones. So Austin Wintory is another one, a very famous gaming composer. Well, not just gaming, but kind of with focus in that scene. Anže Rozman, a friend of mine who works with Hans Zimmer. Vito Juraj, a very famous Slovenian avant-garde composer, mostly present in Europe, and some others. So it's an ongoing effort to popularize this format yet again. Working on also on a not per se Christmas, but a holiday type carol-like concerto for the December time.
Yep.
And so it's a genre that I'm exploring because it's very cool to play with an orchestra.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe it would be great to have a classical guitar symphonina at some point in the future. So maybe we can
be tremendous.
Talk about that offline sometime.
Yes, absolutely.
And what is your next album project then that we should look for after Slavic Sessions is in the rearview mirror of the Grammy season?
Yeah, so Slavic Sessions will be toured this year, next year for sure. Okay. The project that is already recorded and is just basically being edited is the recording with of the concerti that I mentioned. Okay. So Michael Abels, Borders Concerto, Leon Firš, The Beats, and Joaquin Rodrigo, Concerto Aranjuez, with the National Radio Symphony of Slovenia. So that's going to be a project that is going to be out next season. Then there's a collaborative that we're doing with friends kind of in the sector called String Symphony. That's going to be a project that's going to come out next year as well. So those two, and then I have a few solo initiatives that are cooking up, but probably not next season, but the one after.
Okay. Before we let you go, I have a question that would be sort of hypothetical. Please. But if I were a classical guitar, aspiring classical guitarist, and I were younger, what advice would you give me in terms of what I should focus on to quote unquote make it as a professional classical guitarist?
Yeah, absolutely. A great question. So what I would suggest is to think about music not only as arts and craft, but rather as a business, because it is important to understand what actually goes into being a musician nowadays, in addition to just like playing the instrument very well, which of course is at the core of one's existence as a music maker, right? You have to be good at this particular arts and craft, but understanding how to navigate what is, called a career, that's very important because that is typically not taught. And that part, oftentimes folks learn on the go, but if it is taught or learned earlier, even better.
Mak, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, they can write to me via any of the emails or messengers. So email is my first name dot last name at gmail.com. So mak.grgic@gmail.com. Or of course, find me on Instagram under Mak Guitar, TikTok, Facebook, etc. Always available there.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you, Mak. And we're going to listen to some more of your great guitar playing on the way out here. And thank you for spending some time with us. We're going to see you hopefully sometime this month in person as well. And if there's anything that we can do at the Symphonina Foundation to help you, you just let us know.
Thank you, David, for the invite. And I will just give my startup a quick shout.
Yeah, please do.
My startup is called Notey, N-O-T-E-Y. The website is notey.co. We are building games to incentivize music practice using our AI tools. Any instrument is welcome, and it is for those who are just starting off their journeys to feel more rewarded, more enticed, have more fun in those initial steps of practice. Check it out, you guys. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I can say as a 40-year veteran in the AI field, anytime someone who's a musician is using AI for good as opposed to not good, I'm all for it. So I'm all for that, Mak, and gamification is great too. So if I could ever be of help to you there, you just let me know that. Thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for listening.